previously, as you guys may know, SaberSpark had a couple of allegations drop against him. Somebody claiming that they were raped by SaberSpark, allegedly, right? Although the allegations are kind of flimsy, at least in my opinion. They seem a little bit uncredible. It seems like there might be some ulterior motives because it feels almost as if these allegations only came out to pile on to a story about an individual known as DA Games, or Doug Games, but whatever, you guys understand. So there's been a couple of updates, but it doesn't seem like there's been anything too strong, right? It doesn't seem, okay, yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything new. We go on YouTube drama, there doesn't seem like there's any like actual evolution to the story. So as I claimed in the past, as I predicted in the past, a couple of days ago, I thought that this story was dead on arrival. But we do have this. Amy New, friend of anonymous SaberSpark accuser, says they were at one of the cons this happened and witnessed them together. And as you all may remember about that image that I showed you guys, right? There was this image that I showed you guys where I found an image of a girl and SaberSpark together. Again, I'm not entirely sure if that's the victim or not. It probably wasn't the victim, but to be clear, who knows? There's a non-zero chance, but I'm unwilling to claim that it's 100%. Oh, and I only just now figured out that video by KimPossible had Courtney Peet on it. Do you know about Courtney Peet? I've heard a lot about her. But I don't know much about her. Like, what's can you fill me in on who Courtney Peet is? Christ, the lore is insane, but almost uncoverable. It's so bad. There was a viewer who came into my server the other day and said that there was some allegations against Courtney Peet. I told her that the best way to go about it would be to have the individuals trying to push these allegations to make a public statement about it instead of trying to like contact YouTubers to give their stories. It's incredibly dangerous to have creators push your victim stories or your coming out stories, because not only can they ruin the story, such as, you know, what's been going on with the KimPossible situation, but you would probably get a lot of unnecessary scrutiny depending on how these people make you think about your situation, right? Because a lot of creators, when they want to capitalize off of breaking news, they're probably going to make it as sensational as possible, and they'll lead you in a certain direction, which is something that you don't want happening to you. 2 days after these allegations dropped, somebody uncovered this by Amy New, and this individual gives their testimony. I have personally been friends with the victim for over 10 plus years. I was at Canterlot Gardens and witnessed them both together. If my words mean anything, I believe them. But the thing is, you could probably believe that this happened, but did it happen in a very coercive, in a very forceful, in a very violent, malicious way? Probably not. I am unwilling to say that everything that is being described here is definitive rape, right? I'm unwilling to say that everything here is done in a very, and it was done in a malicious way. It's probably more a case of miscommunication rather than outright rape, which a lot of times, again, people tend to accuse people of rape for miscommunication. That's not to confuse actual rape and actual sexual assault with that's not to confuse these things, because people will typically conflate their idea of rape with what rape actually is as a malicious action or legally, right? So it's really important to differentiate the two. A lot of people in these communities will call just about anything rape. Even like for example, there's a high possibility that this individual probably was reciprocating these feelings, as you guys may have seen in my previous coverage of this. And if you haven't, obviously go look at it. But there's a high possibility that these two people were maybe reciprocating emotions to each other. But then years after the fact, she began to regret the interaction because of many multitudes of reasons. And, there's also the possibility, as, seeing this image right here, that the reason why she felt vocal, to come out, not that image, was because of actions that she had occurred between SaberSpark and Chris. I have nothing to gain from this. I just want my friends to be believed. Okay? I've seen people outright say they deserve this, and I'm just so sick to my stomach seeing the pro-rape comments all day. I don't think anybody's been saying they deserve this. They're probably misconstruing what people are saying, such as maybe the lack of communication is what led to an interaction like this, right? Because it's not actually... It's very difficult to claim this as rape unless you're a very naive individual. I'll just be very blunt about it. And I know some people are probably going to conflate that with me being a rape apologist, which is simply not the case, right? It's just that the way that this story reads seems like somebody who just had a very poor understanding of what it means to actually engage in situations like these, right? And they're trying to make it seem as if implied consent wasn't present, but it probably was very present, and these people just fail to communicate with each other. Things I've seen in person are why I speak out so much. I just wish I could do more. I wish I could have done more. But again, I don't even think this person understands what exactly is like being recounted in these allegations. Like, she might be coming at this from a very emotional place, which I understand. It makes sense. But we shouldn't be slathering the very, very negative implication that somebody may be a rapist on somebody if we don't know exactly how these interactions and how these dynamics played out, or what the dynamics between these interactions were, to say it in more proper terms. We finally get some evidence provided by the alleged victim of SaberSpark, right? And this is the Sun Mouse, which happens to be the anonymous account that was initially mentioned in this tweet right here, where they claim that they made it right here. This person wishes to remain anonymous, though can be reached for questions at the Sun Mouse. Okay, so this is supposedly their account, or the account where they can be reached at, right? And apparently they posted this, where they show an image from 2012, which seems to be receipts at Canterlot Gardens, which is allegedly where this BronyCon took place, which we could probably do a little bit of like background research and find out if that's actually the place or not. I finally tossed all my con badges because I was moving and I had too much stuff. I did find some emails up here where I was inquiring about talking to a guest there. Okay, can we look at their accounts? Just a retweet. Tweets and repost. What are they doing? Thank you for this link. I'm going to. So what media have they been posting? Wait, there's actually May 4th. Huh. A big shout out to my friend Silverstreak for his generosity, dude. You are one hell of a guy. SaberSpark. But are these just emails of like? Are these just images of latest subscription updates? These are just like just notification emails of her like actually watching SaberSpark way back when. But what this proves is that she would have been a fan post 2012, which means that she probably wouldn't have been a longtime fan. So there is something here. This person definitely knew SaberSpark way back when. So far these allegations aren't completely fake. They're not completely fabricated. So yeah, it appears that this individual, for the most part, is seeming to look, it seems like this individual is actually providing some evidence. Yeah, it definitely appears like there is something here. Like they're corroborating their presence. I will say I did accidentally misspeak on a detail. The second incident was actually in 2012 as well, not 2013. Okay, so the story is already falling apart. It did not happen in 2013. It happened in 2012 as well. I misremembered it being early 2013. So now this person is misremembering. So they're not based on all of based on all the lack of details, the fact that they're misremembering and having to constantly correct their story. It's like, so I can at least show you proof he was there. Well, we already knew that. I already knew that ahead of time because I actually I actually did a little bit of research, and then they're bringing up the Brony breakdown video that I found way before this individual did. Right, episode 1 has an original air date and description lining up with what I described. There's also someone in the comments talking about his history. Yeah, but that doesn't imply any definite rape. So as far as we can see, based on this this person's account, they're basically corroborating that they were present, that they knew of this individual in the past. But again, for all we know, this might have just been a fan in the past. They might have not actually been involved in any potential rape. Who knows? So the story seems like a little bit murky off rip. There's just not enough. There's just not enough. There's circumstantial information that maybe suggests that there was somebody there. That maybe there could be a victim, but is this person actually a victim? Was this person actually sexually assaulted in any way? There's no information to suggest that this person was actually sexually assaulted. There's also no even though they might have known each other, there's no DMs, there's no Skype exchange. Granted, Skype did just shut down, so there's no there's no text exchanges that proves anything. And if there, I would assume that the reason why there isn't any text exchange is probably because it's probably because it would prove that these individuals were probably sexting and flirting beforehand, right? I mean, we really need DMs. So if this person isn't afraid of providing more evidence to, like, keep corroborating their story, to keep adding more to their story, we definitely need more evidence. We need at least like some sort of proof of communication. Also, the story the girl gives wasn't unconsensual. To an extent, it wasn't unconsensual because, again, as I mentioned previously, where is it? Where's the fucking allegations? Hold on. Where's the initial allegations? Yeah, the story, like right here, for example. I was afraid of denying him because of past experiences with sexual assault, so I did it to get it over with without wanting to cause a problem. Where he wouldn't ejaculate, where he would ejaculate on my face, apologize profusely, and then offer the same handshake as he did at the con initially. The con I initially met him saying friends. Despite pretending, okay, so if this was within the same year, this person was actively wanting to like meet up with this individual, right? So there's obviously a level of attraction here, or a level of amicability. I was afraid of denying him because of past experiences with sexual assault, so I did it to get over with without wanting to cause a problem where he would ejaculate on my face, right? Despite pretending, and they had mentioned as well that they didn't want to, what's it called? Where is the image? Where's the image, right? They did it to get it over with. That is consent. If you're like, right, that is consent. While they're like, you would have to like be incredibly bad faith. You would have to be incredibly bad faith to present this as it being like forced or coerced consent. Because who knows what the dynamics or what like the body language was at play in that moment. We can't just like look at this at face value and say, oh, he definitely coerced this girl. There's obviously a lot of details missing. I'd always felt taken advantage of by him and tried being friendly and pretending nothing was wrong because it was all I knew how to do. I would blame myself for the interactions for a year, only opening up to a few close people. Questioning if consent was implied because of my crush and unwillingness and fear to outright stop the advances because of how uncomfortable I felt. And the wording, right? Fear to stop the advances because of how uncomfortable I felt. No, if you feel uncomfortable, your first priority should be to relinquish any consent. It should be to like vocalize what your problems are, that you don't want this to occur, right? It seems like this person was just indecisive. It seems like this person was just incredibly indecisive the more we keep looking into this. And then somewhere she also mentions that she didn't feel like turning him down because she was afraid of being rejected after the fact. Again, that is literally them saying, yeah, I like this individual, so I let him do what he wanted to do because I didn't want to be disliked. That is implied consent. That is literally, definitionally, implied consent. You like the individual, you let him do these things to you because you didn't want to be rejected, because you wanted to be praised by this individual. And to claim that there were any power dynamics is completely, inappropriate here in this story, because there wasn't any, legitimate power dynamics. SaberSpark wasn't like this incredibly powerful individual. He just ran a brony podcast. But anyways, I guess we have some more information there. And then the last thing we have in regards to all of this, just for a quick update, friend of victim corroborates story. The details have not changed in the 12 years since she told us what happened in between tears. She is so strong for speaking out now. Just because something isn't public doesn't mean people don't speak in private. But again, if you're emotionally reacting at this, then I can understand why you would feel this way about the situations, especially if she's giving her her side in a very dramatized and in a very emotional fashion, right? Of course you're going to feel bad for the person. But what about the other missing details here? What about the other factors at play? Body language is incredibly important. Flirting is incredibly important. Any other dynamics at play here are incredibly important. But so far, it appears that at least the victim might be real. But I still wouldn't call this rape necessarily. Just very, very unfortunate. It's just a very unfortunate situation where both people failed to communicate in a healthy way when engaging in sex, is what this is. Okay, so QQ sent me something about Courtney Orchard. I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys what they sent me, but apparently I can't watch it on stream. Play Orchard and What She Did to Me by Courtney Peet. Oh, so all of these people are connected. All of these people are fucking connected. So yeah, apparently this isn't viewable, and this is this is not recommended to watch on stream, but I'll put it out there so that you guys can go consolidate information if you guys need to. For any of you that want to do some autistic research, but Courtney Peet equals Courtney Orchard, Lily's sister. Lily renamed her channel, but has less than 100,000 subs. They're siblings. What did Lily Orchard do, anyways? Orchard. What did she do? Okay. So, but what exactly did Orchard do when you accused Lily of her long-term CSA? Jesus fucking Christ. That explains like that entire monologue she gave. That adds a whole new layer of meaning to the entire monologue she gave in the longer, how long was it in the 2-hour video? In the 2-hour video where she was going on about about rock stars and groupies. Do you guys remember? That adds an entirely different layer of meaning to that. There's something very, very shady about the situation. Okay, I don't think I am unwilling to say that SaberSpark is a rapist. At worst, I'm willing to say that he's probably like a bad communicator, and probably not very. At worst, I'm willing to say that he's a bad communicator, and he definitely didn't intend to do anything bad to this girl. But it's probably the way that it came across. Given all of the details that I covered previously, given all the information that we have now, I am unwilling to say that SaberSpark definitionally, right, raped this girl. I don't even think it's also unlikely that there was any actual malicious intent here as well. I wouldn't even call it sexual assault. But I am being charitable. But we'll see how the story develops. I hope SaberSpark comes out with a response, but for the most part, minus those very small updates, I don't think there's anything else here anymore. I don't think there's anything else here in this story anymore.